Database and SQL. Let's see how Python language can be used for defining a database and constructing a database by using a language that is called a structured query language. As we know, a database is nothing but a collection of large data in some structured manner on a permanent storage of the computer system. This database is similar to your data structure that is dictionary, where in dictionary we just store the data by using the key value pair. But unlike dictionary, database can store huge set of data that reside on a permanent storage like the hard disk of the computer system. The software we'll be using is by the name Sqlite, which is relational database management system software. Why Sqlite? Because Sqlite is already built in Python. And once again, this Sqlite is a C library that provides a lightweight disk-based database. Hence the name Sqlite. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. And once again, it is lightweight disk based. And whatever the application we are going to use, okay, to support the database within the application, we'll be using this Sqlite. For an example, this Sqlite is currently used in Firefox browser, Twitter, etc., where they support the database within the application. Coming here, we will be using a database browser for Sqlite. You can download this software by using the link. Just use this link and download the database browser for Sqlite, which is an open source tool, and it is freely available. And this software can be used for defining a database or creating a database, then once again inserting the data, then editing the data, querying the data from the database. Just download it. It will be installed in your system. Why this database browser for Sqlite instead of Sqlite software itself? This is an open source tool that is freely available, and it is highly visualized. And once again, they edit database files that are compatible with Sqlite, which are similar to your Sqlite software. You can download it from this link. Using this browser, we can create tables, insert data, edit data, run simple queries on the data in the database. Let's see how to create a database table. Now let's take an example. Before that, you can see here the database browser Sqlite is already installed in my system. If you just open this, this is how it looks like. We'll see how the database can be created. Now, creating a database, since Sqlite is built in Python, the first thing we need to do is what? We need to import Sqlite. Right? After importing Sqlite, since it is built in Python, okay, it consists of some methods. The methods that we'll be using, the first one is the connect method. This connect method, it is used to connect to the database. Once the connect method is used to connect to the database, the connection object is created. This connect method makes a connection to the database stored in the file in current directory. If the file does not exist, it will be created. All the examples that we consider here will be local file in the current working directory of the Python code. Okay, once connection object is created, using this connection object, we call the cursor. So cursor once again is a method called the cursor. Once you call the cursor, cursor object is created using connection object. This cursor is similar to your file handle that we can use to perform the operations on the database stored in the data stored in the database. Calling server is similar to open command that we used during file operations. Once we get cursor, we can execute the commands on the contents of the database using which command? Execute command. So as I told, your cursor can be used to perform the operations on the data stored in the DBMS. So this cursor can be used. The different types of methods that are available with the cursor are, the one is the execute method, where we can use to execute all the commands. Then once again, we have one more method that is called as fetch all, fetch one, and close method that are available with which one now? That is available with cursor. That is available with the cursor method. Once we get the cursor, we can execute the commands on the contents of the database using which command? That is execute command. Execute the commands on the contents of the database using the cursor object. Execute method is called with create table query as the parameter to create the table. Fine. So here we take an example. We'll see how to create a table, connect to the database, and how to create this connection object and cursor object. The first thing what we are supposed to do is what? We need to import Sqlite. So just import, fine, Sqlite 3. The version we are using is Sqlite 3. After that, what we are supposed to do, we need to connect to the database using which method? Connect method. So once the connection to the database is established, the connection object is created. So what we'll do is, fine, we'll connect to the database using connect method. And once again, since we have imported Sqlite, okay, prefix with Sqlite 3 dot connect, and just give the name of the database. I'll give the name of the database as music.de. Right? So this is the name of the database. So once the connection is established, it is going to generate what? The connection object. So here con is the name that I have considered to create as a connection object. You can also give conn. You can give any name as a connection object. Fine. So once after this, what we need to do is, the next thing is cursor. So call the cursor. Once you call the cursor, cursor object is created using with what? The connection object. So this cursor object is similar to which one? Open method, similar to the file operation we did. Once we get the cursor, we can execute the commands on the contents of the database using execute method. So we'll create a cursor object. I'll take it as cur equals to, the cursor object is created using the connection object. So con dot use the name of the cursor method. Fine. So once after this, what we are supposed to do, using execute command, okay, using the cursor object, execute method is called to create the table query as a parameter. So using this, okay, cursor object, execute command, what we'll do, we'll create a table. Now we have a music database as an example that I have considered. Now within this music database, fine, let's create a table by the name that is tracks, where this tracks, okay, stores the details of all the tracks with the number of plays of each track, that is how many number of times that particular track has been played. Fine. So for doing this, fine, as I told, the first thing is what? We need to define the structure of the database. Defining the structure of the database is done by using data manipulation, data definition language commands like the create command. So within this, I need to create a table. So create, it is a command that you need to use as it is, followed by table is a word you need to use as it is. This is a syntax of the create command. Create table is a keyword you need to use as it is. Create table followed by the name of the table. I'll give it as what? Tracks. Fine. So create table. The name of the table is tracks. Fine. Similar to your student table, the name of the table is student. Then after that, I need to define the columns, that is the attributes of the table. For an example of student, we gave USN, name, age, address, and so on. Now for this, we need to define the attributes or the properties of the table, that is track. Fine. So what is the thing? I will specify the title of the track. Fine. And also place how many number of times this track has been played. These are the details I need to maintain. Then whenever I'm just specifying this attribute, we need to specify the data type along with this attribute. It is nothing but for a particular column, what type of data has to be stored. Fine. Since the title, it is nothing but it is of text. Fine. You can just see here. Fine. So from this one, RDBMS has its own way of storing the data in the tables. Each of the relational database management system uses its own set of data types for the attribute values to be used. SQLite uses the data types as mentioned in the table. Okay, this is the data types that are used. Null means the value is a null value. Okay, integer, the value is a signed integer. Whenever you specify the data type integer, the value is of integer type. Whenever you specify the data type real, it is of floating point, that is decimal number. Whenever you give the text, the value is of what? String. Fine. So we'll be using these data types while defining what? While defining or while creating a table. Title must be of the form what? I'll give it as text. And place, it represents how many number of times that track has been played. I'll give it as an integer value. Right? It is an integer. So what is the operation I'm doing now? I'm creating a table. Okay. For which database? Music database. This table has got how many attributes? 2 attributes. One is the title. Okay. It is of what type? Of text type. Then the play. Fine. It is of what type? Integer type. So once after this, since I have established the connection to the database, I need to close the connection. So once again, the closing the connection can be done by using the connection object. So connect dot cloc. Right? Now let's execute this. Fine. After executing this, first you check whether this music.db is created in your local directory. Just go to local directory. Can you just check whether yes, can you see here music.database is created. Fine. Now just go to fine. After that, music.database, we need to check whether this table is created with these 2 fields. Let's go to which one? Your database browser SQLite. Just go to SQLite. I need to open a database that is present in the local directory. Just click on to open database. Fine. Can you see here music database is created? Just click on to this. Just open it. Fine. So you can see here it has opened which one? The music database. In this music database, there is a table. What is a table? That is tracks. Fine. This track has got how many fields now? 2 fields. One is title, the second one is place. Fine. Now check what is the data that is present in the table. Just browse it. Till now, I have not inserted any data. I've just defined the structure of the table. Fine. By specifying the name of the columns along with the data types, but I have not inserted or not populated with data to this table yet. Fine. The next thing we'll be doing is we'll try to insert the data to the table created for which database? That is your music database.